Welcome to Journey. I've often asked you to be open to the possibilities that this journey is truly cosmic in nature, and that perhaps we have been here many times before in other lifetimes. Could it be we've left messages for ourselves to find? Codes that now help us remember who we are, and that we live in a vast universe. My guest, author Deanna Emerson, is going to point us in the road along our journey to some really compelling and intriguing evidence to the fact that perhaps we have left messages and they are appearing now to help us know truly who we are. Deanna, I'm really delighted to have another chance to speak with you.
Thank you, Brenda.
You continue to do work, years of work. We've spoken about crystal skulls with you, and we've spoken about the Mars-Earth Enigma, your most recent book. And in it, you talk about languages and messages, and I think, in a way, to me, it tells me who I am more than anything, and perhaps who we've been interacting with for a long, long time.
Right.
What brought you to really want to study this area?
Well, I've been fascinated with the whole extraterrestrial issue for a long, long time, in fact, since I was a child. And I think that the idea of ancient languages that may have been spoken as a means of communication, perhaps between humans and deities that may be extraterrestrial, was fascinating to me also. So I began studying ancient languages when I was about 15 and looking into some of the earliest goddess civilizations, and basically began discovering that life began far beyond Sumer, perhaps even in Old Europe, where ancient languages were first discovered.
I'm fascinated to turn on the Learning Channel and Discovery now and see that truly ancient civilizations are being spoken about in more detail, with more credibility, and that they are open to the fact that our history predates long before what we were taught in school.
Absolutely.
Right. It's kind of exciting, isn't it?
It's very exciting, especially in the discovery of an ancient language that was found in Old Europe, in Transylvania. It's been carbon dated and calibrated at 8,000 years old. And in fact, in Michael Cremo's book, Forbidden Archaeology, two symbols from this script were found on a marble slab that's been dated at between 500 and 600 million years old. And this was discovered in Philadelphia, which is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. 500, 600 million, or 1,000?
500 million.
Oh my gosh.
Years old.
We are thinking of some, they're going back in time.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one of the other figures that was discovered in Idaho was a goddess figurine that was dated at 2 million years old. So now we're talking about highly sophisticated civilizations that used an ancient language as long ago as perhaps 500 million years ago.
What's intrigued me is when I work with runes, that there were pictograms and just little symbols that meant whole ideas and concepts. Mm-hmm. And then I studied, my background being Cherokee, that some of the Native Americans used the same idea of a very simple form that meant a whole idea. Of course, we've broken it down into little words in our language. Is encumbering to us. What do you think is the language now that we're seeing even being brought forward, perhaps even in crop circles?
Well, the language that I've named the Iana script is a language that was used by goddess-worshipping civilizations, such as the Hopi. Mm-hmm. The Native Americans are probably the last surviving civilization to use this script. They are symbolic as well as have precise meanings. In other words, there's layers of meanings to them. They alter space and time, as the Blackfeet Indian culture has acknowledged. So there are more than one meaning. There are mathematical meanings as well as written messages.
Well, I think some of the ancient scholars, and you can probably name a few in your research, noted that a long time ago. We just did we lose sight of it somehow in getting wrapped up in our industrial age more than anything?
Well, it's been largely suppressed, and that's been the most intriguing fascination for me, to discover that here we have a suppressed language that has been largely ignored by traditional scholarship. And archaeologist Marita Gimbutas, in her work on ancient goddess civilizations, has been very concerned about that same issue. The fact that many traditional scholars have failed to acknowledge a script that is at least 2,000 years older than Sumerian language, and probably would reverse the course of history if it were known how old it were.
Certainly going to make us take a longer look, a more in-depth look at our history, isn't
Exactly.
it? And then civilizations. What do you feel? And I know you point out in your book, you believe we've had interaction at an extraterrestrial or what maybe we want to consider universal or cosmic level, a galactic level, so to speak.
Right. Well, yes, this particular language was found on hundreds and hundreds of goddess figurines of the mother creator, you might say. She was considered to be the creator who came to Earth to create mankind. The Hopi call her the serpent mother or the corn mother. Every Native American culture has a name for her, as did other cultures who no longer exist. And of course, all of the Native Americans record that they came from the heavens to Earth, were brought here and created by an extraterrestrial civilization. So we have a language that's been acknowledged to be a means of communication between humans and deities, and it shows up in ancient languages, beginning way back in Sumer and evolving clear up to the present time in the Native American languages.
I want to note, too, that you and I both have been following the Star Knowledge Conferences, which are the Native Americans finally being compelled to come forward and share some of their ancient traditions and their myths and folklore. And now they're speaking about the Star people that they've always had communication with.
Yes, they understand. Yeah, they understand that where their civilization came from, and they understand that the time for secrets is over, and so they're revealing some of their knowledge so that it will help the rest of mankind. Because as the planet, Planet X, as it was called, or the 10th planet, as it's called by NASA, comes closer to Earth, they understand that there will be Earth changes that we need to deal with.
Well, I guess they're aware of reading the signs.
Yes.
Which we lose sight of. You know, the nature provides us with some wonderful ways to bring our awareness forward. And I think the Native Americans take the approach. I know that a whole tribe has moved out away from Mount Rainier. In the event that Mount Rainier blows up, which their prophecies indicate sooner or later it will. But they take the approach of leaving the area so that they're out of harm's way, which, hey, let her do her thing if she has to. Right.
Yeah, well, they do, because this planet has come back before, so they do have prophecies of it. They know that it was here once before. They know that they were created from the civilization that came from that planet, and so they're preparing themselves for the return, as the Mayas, for example, are also. And this language also can be found in the Mayan language, is in particular in their numerical system.
Well, the Mayas have a really beautiful calendar.
Yes, they do.
It's different than ours. Tracks time differently, and also cycles, which are indicated are coming up to some dramatic shift in the way we look at time. That in itself, coupled with the other Native American traditions, and now crop circles, which is an amazing form of communication coming our way. Of course. What are we in for? I mean, I think you and I can only speculate at this point, but there are speculations that we'd like to make.
Well, the fact that that the 10th planet was recorded by the ancient Babylonians as being here in 272 BC, a planet associated with Mars and Scorpio, for instance, that came close to Earth, and it was associated with the serpent in the Garden of Eden, for instance. So these ancient civilizations also recorded these catastrophes and the Earth changes, and they were revealed in the Bible under Revelations, for example. So these ancient languages are coming back, and they are a message in the crop circles now. And the Native Americans are finding their symbols in these crop circles.
Well, you have some wonderful slides that we're going to show and lead the way to perhaps, and just like you mentioned, crop circles may be the most current form of messages, yet we've had pictographs, carvings in caves that we've discovered, and the symbols seem to be repeating themselves, don't they? We've had Celtic symbols show up in crop circles, South American, Peruvian symbols, and they're all seeming to want somehow to address an issue. As you go through these slides that you're going to share then too, I think you'll help reveal what this issue and what the ideas are there. Let's go to those then.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay. Here we have a perfect example of the script and all of the symbols that are in the crop circles now. This was an alphabet discovered in Transylvania. Again, 2 of the letters were found on a marble slab dating to 500 to 600 million years ago. Part of this script is numerical, and part is almost like our English alphabet. In fact, the symbols were altered beginning with the Northern Semites, as you can see here. For example, down below here you see the Northern Semitic language and how they altered the script, the A, for example. And here we have the symbols in the crop circles as zeros and lines. And I want to emphasize that the crop circles are not circular at all, but elliptical. So all of the little round dots that you saw in the script are elliptical. Now, if we can just hold on this particular shot for a moment, we'll see that there's a B or an 8 inscribed on the boulder, taken in a photograph by the Viking orbiter by NASA in 1976, one of the very first shots taken by NASA, and it shows a letter B or perhaps a figure 8 inscribed on a rock. This area looks like it's a quarry, and all goddess-worshipping civilizations had quarries. Here you see...
Here's our face on Mars.
On the Mars face, right, the face on Mars is inscribed with 4 lines that come out of the script. And when we see the script again later, we'll see that there are lines called bylines by archaeologists. But here they are on the side of the face. Even though they're not as clear as one would like to see them, they have been acknowledged and confirmed by Vincent di Pietro, who the D&M pyramid is named after. Here you can see the tear as well as the 4 bylines. And there's also a crescent formed across the forehead. There are at least 5 symbols on the Mars face right out of the script. Here you have, excuse me, in the Sumerian early pictographic language, you see a head with the 4 lines down it running in the same arrangement bilaterally as they are on the Mars face. So here you see how this language was brought to Earth. Here we see the Hopi Corn Mother, and this is a very recent painting of her, and you can see her also with the script symbols on her face in the 4 lines running down her face. And we'll see them also. There you see them. They were originally considered to be the water, the fact that she was the source of all water, the source from which all life springs. And on her shields that she's carrying, you can see more of the script symbols. In fact, they show up in crop circles all over the world, the round, circle, elliptical shaped. Most of her clothing contains symbols from the script. Here you see the anklets around her ankles and the 2 diamond shapes on each side. These also were included in the ancient civilization script. Unfortunately, most of the Native American symbols have been lost, although some of the originals are still retained. Here we have an ancient figurine of the goddess Iana, who was the Ubaidian goddess, a civilization that predated the Sumerians. And here you see the script on her, in particular what's called the Io torus, which is the round or elliptical round circle with a smaller circle inside of it. And that's the script symbol, which is exactly identical to that. You see it around her navel. You see the script symbols on her collar, for example, the necklace she's wearing. Here you see more of the script symbols as they were depicted in Marita Gimbutas's work with the archaeological artifacts she discovered in Transylvania in Old Europe. And here again, they're inscribed all over, hundreds and hundreds of figurines of the mother as creator. Often she's depicted holding her infant or giving birth. She was the birthing goddess. The figure you're seeing here is an ancient Ubaidian figurine with the Io torus, or the most simple of the crop circles that began to show up originally. And here you see it as her womb. Here we have a crop circle. I believe it's been called the key, And again, it contains symbols from the script. When you see the script later on, you'll be able to identify some more of these symbols. This particular crop circle is the same one we just saw, only done in 3 dimensions. I'm working on a CD-ROM, and all of the figures from the Mars and the images and the crop circles will be shown. Here we have another crop circle in 3 dimensions, one of the most simple ones, but it's made with crescent shapes. Here you have the Barberry Castle crop circle. In fact, it fits over the Mars face, the D&M pyramid, and the Tholos on the Mars structures. Here we have another alignment on Mars. And in this particular alignment, I began discovering the identity of what these symbols have to do with that is most important to mankind, and that is the search for the electron in the hydrogen atom, and this is associated with free energy devices and levitation. So here you have this particular alignment on the surface of Mars. You can also find this alignment on the D&M pyramid. In a moment now, we'll see how it pertains to the search for the electron in the trihydrogen atom. So here, this is one of the probability patterns associated with the waveform alphabet in physics, for example. And it's a similar structure. I want to emphasize that these 2 diagrams have also showed up in crop circles. So what you're seeing is a pattern in physics using a waveform alphabet, and you're seeing in the crop circle fields identical structures. Here we have a search for probability patterns for the electron in the hydrogen atom. And if you look closely, you will be able to see that they match identical with crop circles that are laid down. They also match identically with script symbols found in the Iana script, which was considered to be a sacred language. We're going to just take a big leap here into the heavens, you might say, and take a look now at where this civilization has been coming from. We've been told that a comet called Hale-Bopp is coming close to Earth. However, what it appears to be instead is a planet associated with a star in the Ophiuchus Serpens region called 70 Ophiuchi. And around that particular star, which is up near the left hand of the cross, is a planet that has been acknowledged by astronomers. However, it's unnamed. It has an unseen companion, as we've been told Hale-Bopp has. This particular planet was discovered in 1876 by William Herschel, who discovered the planet Uranus, claiming that Uranus was a comet long before he finally identified it as a planet, and that was substantiated. So what we're seeing basically here is a structure, a serpentine line of stars that form the serpent. They're red, faintly burning stars. At the head of the serpent is the cross of stars. You can compare it to the Ohio serpent mound, where the head of the serpent is, the mouth is open and the egg, it contains the egg or the elliptical shaped egg. This cross of stars is that particular serpent's mouth containing the planet that I have named Iana, because it's one of the original names of the Creator Mother. I'd like to just hold on to this image for a few moments, because what we're beginning to see on the most recent star maps is the elimination of the lines that form the cross of stars. And I've been asking why that is. One of my concerns is that, one of the reasons is that whoever is in charge of organizing star maps, and has been over the centuries, has installed, for example, an equator to divide that particular constellation. What it does is hide the fact that there is a skull and face that forms a skull and crossbones symbol that the Knights Templar were aware of. Here you see how the 2 lines connecting the upper birthing triangle, as it's called in astronomy, has been eliminated. So now you see only the lower inverted V portion, and you no longer see the cross in alignment with the head, which is the corona borealis, called crown of the goddess. We'll move on now and we'll see another change. You can also see, by the way, that little planet orbiting around the star on the left-hand side. Here is the region where Hale-Bopp supposedly originated, and that is in the Sagittarius area, not too far above where the planet called the 10th planet by NASA has been orbiting around the star 70 Ophiuchi. Ironically, the path of that comet is coming from the very same area, especially if that inverted V, as you see there next to the word comet, had the other two lines drawn through it as it should have. Then you would see that the path of that comet came exactly from where the 10th planet that I've named Iana is coming from. On the most recent star map, they have completely eliminated the little round object that represents 70 Ophiuchi star. And they also eliminated, and I'd like to hold on this particular image for a few minutes, they've also eliminated the planet orbiting around that star. And again, I want to emphasize that that planet has been acknowledged by astronomers to exist, although it's been unnamed. Here we have the corona borealis that fits over the Mars face precisely, the face of the mother creator, with the symbols on her face. And then down as we follow the line from her eye to the center of her womb, which is the D&M pyramid, we see the cross of stars that form the serpent's head or kaput. And again we find on Mars a very amazing structure that represents the planet X. So that constellation aligns perfectly over the Mars face and the D&M pyramid. Here, there's a letter I wrote in October of '96 to the International Astronomical Union in Paris, France, requesting my right to name Planet X, or the 10th planet, Iana, after the original name of the Creator Mother. Unfortunately, I have received no answer in spite of 2 or 3 other letters and faxes I've sent on to them. They have been completely ignoring this planet, evidently, that they are in fact in charge of altering on the star maps.
Well,
so there you see.
Yes, your years of research, neatly formed into this book, certainly gives rise to our audience to go out and look at other star maps.
Exactly.
And to compare them through the years.
Exactly.
To do as you did and research it.
Yes.
I always want to encourage the truth seekers to go after the evidence.
Absolutely. In fact, in my book, Mars, Earth, Enigma, my bibliography entails a huge body of work that people can read for themselves. They can check old star maps, more current star maps. They can look at the crop circles, pull out the script symbols, and perhaps if we can show the script symbols before we close, they can see those again also. But the most important revelation here is that if these crop circles are laid down in grain fields all over the world, and the script symbols are used to create them, then we know that an extraterrestrial force is creating them because the same symbols are on the Mars face, inscribed on the face of the Mother Creator. And we're also finding this language in physics, which means that these cultures had access to free energy, perhaps, levitation devices that they may have raised the pyramids with.
Right.
So they're
having a difficult time explaining not only the pyramid structures in Egypt, but other civilizations in Easter Island and other places around, even Lake Titicaca, which I was just watching on TV, that there were cultures that possibly were using advanced technology, such as levitation and free energy. And here it's for us to see. Physics alone, is helping us take the quantum leap, I guess, that's necessary for us to move out of
Exactly.
sort of this world into a freer, cleaner, safer environment.
Right. In fact, what we're seeing that the ancients had access to free energy and a higher form of physics than we may even possess at this time.
Well, we're trying to bring that forward, and I hope that even as you wrote a letter, others might be compelled too.
Yes.
Let's look at, the ancient goddess religions and the fact that there was actually no warfare going on during those times, as you point out.
Right, there were no weapons of war found in any of their archaeological sites. It was not until the traditional religions were established, as the Native Americans would acknowledge, that mankind began warring and destroying these civilizations. And they may have been destroying them because of these particular script symbols, so that the free energy would no longer be at a grassroots level, but in the hands of a few individuals.
Well, I want to thank you for all the work you've done and the wonderful view graphs that you've shared with us, because it certainly leads us to go do our own research on our journey. Thank you for joining us on this journey.